Your age means nothing to me. What matters to me is the way your presence rearranges the rhythm of my heartbeat, how your voice settles into places inside me I never realized were hollow. People around us talk as if numbers can measure depth, as if years can define the kind of connection that pulls two souls toward each other with a force older than time itself. But when I look at you, I do not see age, I see impact. I see the way you change the air around you. I see the way you shift the world inside me without even noticing it. That is what makes you unforgettable. You must understand something. I have lived my life in a palace where every person is evaluated, judged, compared, analyzed by lineage, by status, by worth calculated like currency. I have grown tired of labels, exhausted by measurements that mean nothing when night falls and silence exposes the truth we all try to hide. And you broke every measure the moment you stepped into my life. You were not defined by years. You were defined by the courage in your eyes, the fire in your voice, the softness you carried, even when the world tried to harden you. People think I am captivated by what I see in you now, but they don't realize I am drawn to the version of you that existed long before I met you. The version that survived storms, the version that learned strength the hard way, the version that still somehow chooses gentleness. That kind of soul isn't built in a moment. It takes life, real life, to shape someone like you. And perhaps that's why I find your presence so rare, because you carry both innocence and wisdom in a way no one else ever has. There are days when I watch you from afar and wonder if you know the effect you have on me, not because of how old you are, not because of the years between us or the similarities or differences we carry, but because your existence has become a truth I cannot unsee. You make me wish I belonged to a world where titles didn't matter, where expectations didn't chain me, where I could simply reach for you without the weight of consequences pressing against my chest. And yet, even in this world, my heart repeatedly chooses you. I hear whispers around me, assumptions, judgments, questions. They talk as if they understand what draws me to you, as if they can decipher emotions they've never felt themselves. But I have learned to let them talk. I have learned that people fear what they cannot explain, and what I feel for you defies explanation. It is not logic, it is not calculation, it is not the safe, predictable affection people expect from a prince. It is something deeper, something instinctive, primal, soulful. If anything, it is your existence, not your age, that humbles me. The way you walk through life with quiet resilience, the way you forgive without forgetting, the way you love without asking for guarantees. It is those qualities that draw me in. I have met countless people who carried years but lacked depth. I have met people older than me with hearts made of dust, and people younger than me with souls carved from gold. Age is irrelevant when the heart is what speaks. And so I stand here unbothered by the numbers others obsess over, certain of one truth. What I feel for you was never meant to fit inside the boundaries the world tries to build around us. You are not defined by years. You are defined by the gravity you carry, the warmth you radiate, the truth you unknowingly reveal in me. And if the world cannot understand why I choose you, then let them misunderstand. Because my heart decided long before my mind ever dared to speak it. You are the one exception I will never apologize for. I have spent years trapped behind the walls built for me, crafted by duty, expectation, and a destiny I never chose. Yet every path somehow led me toward you. It startled me how someone so unexpected could become the center of a life already written in advance. I was raised to believe kings do not falter, men like me do not bend, and hearts like mine do not beat without permission, yet yours made mine break every rule. When I look at you, I don't see the years people measure. I see the fire, the courage, the quiet storms you survived alone. And in those silent storms, I found the kind of strength I've been searching for my entire life. There were nights when I sat in my palace chambers, surrounded by gold that never made me feel wealthy and guarded by men who never made me feel safe. And I wondered what my life would have been if someone like you had walked into it sooner. But maybe the universe waits for the perfect collision, the one that is meant to alter the axis of your existence. That is what you became for me, a shift, a pull, gravity strong enough to drag a prince down from his throne and teach him what it means to crave something not written in royal decrees. Tenderness, belonging, warmth that doesn't demand a crown in return. The world keeps telling me what I'm supposed to be, who I'm supposed to love, how I'm supposed to live. But whenever I stand before you, everything else feels painfully small. It is in the way your silence speaks louder than the court's applause, in the way your eyes hold entire stories that no one bothered to read. People look at timelines, I look at soul lanes. People measure age, I measure fire. And the fire in you, it is something I have never seen, not even in myself. I was groomed to conquer kingdoms, yet you are the first thing I ever wanted to protect without being asked. There are parts of me that terrify even those closest to me. The weight of the crown, the darkness I inherited, the expectations carved into my bones. I never wanted you to see those shadows, yet somehow you walked into them without fear. You stepped into the storm I never intended to show, and instead of retreating, you reached out as if my chaos was something your hands were built to hold, and that alone bound me to you in ways I cannot undo, even if the world demanded it from me. When you speak, you don't sound like the court, rehearsed and polished. You sound real, raw, honest in a way I forgot humans could be. Sometimes I watch you without saying a word, just memorizing the quiet movements, the way you breathe, the way your hands rest, the way your lashes fall when you're lost in thought. These are the moments that make me forget I am a prince at all. With you I become something simpler, something purer, a man who wants, who feels, who loves without permission. There is a war inside me, between the throne I was born for and the heart I found in you, between the life that is expected of me and the life I age to choose. I know the path ahead is carved with judgment, whispers, and eyes that will never understand the connection between us. But I've spent so long living for a kingdom that never truly saw me, that now the only thing I want is to live for the one person who does. Even if the world stands against us, I will stand in front of you, no matter the cost. And so every day, I find myself returning to the same silent truth. What I feel for you is not defined by years or timelines, but by the way you make my world feel less heavy. You may never fully understand the impact of your presence in my life, but I do. You broke the pattern. You silenced the noise. You made a prince feel human again. And for that, I will carry you in places deeper than any vow, any crown, any destiny ever written for me. I keep finding myself drawn to you in ways I cannot explain, as if destiny stitched an invisible thread between us long before we ever met. Every responsibility on my shoulders, every command drilled into me since childhood, begins to fade the moment you enter my thoughts. I was taught to read maps, conquer borders, silence weaknesses, but no one prepared me for someone who feels like both a sanctuary and a rebellion. You walk into a room and the air rearranges itself around you, bending, softening, surrendering, and without meaning to, I do the same. There are times late at night when the palace halls stretch endlessly and the silence becomes too loud, and it is your face that breaks through the stillness. I imagine your voice in the quiet, your presence in the shadows, and suddenly the gold around me feels less like a prison. I've held power all my life, yet nothing has ever held me the way your existence does. Your eyes have the kind of depth that makes even a prince forget the ground beneath his feet, and it terrifies me how willingly I fall. Everything about you feels like a truth I've been running from, the kind of truth that doesn't need permission to touch the hidden parts of me. You don't bow when you look at me, you see me. Not the crown, not the bloodline, not the centuries of legacy I carry, just the man beneath all of it. And it is that gaze, that fearless honesty, that shakes me harder than any war ever could. You break through my armor without even trying, as if your soul already knows the cracks I've spent years hiding. Sometimes I wonder if you understand the power you hold, not the kind bestowed by titles or birthright, but the kind that comes from simply being you. The way you speak, the way you listen, the softness in your expression when you think no one is watching. It's all endlessly disarming. I've seen kings rise and fall, kingdoms built and destroyed, yet nothing compares to the quiet strength in your presence. You are the contradiction in my life, gentle enough to calm me, fierce enough to remake me. I find myself thinking about the life I was born into versus the life I crave, and the difference always begins and ends with you. I have lived surrounded by expectations, rules, and a future scripted before I took my first breath, yet none of it feels as heavy as the thought of losing you. There is a part of me that is selfish, a part that wants to choose you even if it means burning everything else down. And though I try to resist it, the truth remains, my heart has already chosen long before my mind did. There is a storm in me that I never let anyone see, a chaos shaped by duty, loneliness, and the weight of a nation resting on my shoulders. But you walk through that storm like it was crafted for you alone. You step into my darkness without fear, without hesitation, as if you already know the way through it. And every time you do, another part of me surrenders. Another part of me wonders how I survived all these years without your light cutting through the shadows. Maybe one day the world will understand what you mean to me, or maybe it won't. But I no longer live for the world's understanding. I live for the rare moments when your gaze softens, when your breath steadies mine, when your presence quiets everything I've been fighting inside. You are the only truth I do not question, the only desire I do not silence, the only person who makes a prince forget his crown and remember his heart.